Hi everybody, let's begin today's topic guys. Today we will learn planning a lesson plan from language assessment and language skills, right? So first of all, what we should do before planning the lesson plan. So we will divide into some learning objectives. The first one is the content objectives. According to these objectives, we should know what subject and knowledge will students gain. The next one is the language objectives. For example, what kind of grammar and new vocabulary words, for example, or functions of the language skills will they learn, for our students learn, right? The next one is the skills objectives, right? So what thinking or communication skills will they develop, let's say, our students? So, for example, our lesson is through the geography, let's say. So we should identify what kind of topic is it, and our vocabulary words and also the grammar topic should be appropriate for this theme. So the next stage is analyzing the language demands of the content. We should look at our key vocabulary, let's say, right? So our vocabulary words should be appropriate our theme or some phrases or the sentence structure, right? So we can choose the vocabulary words basic, general, academic, let's say the subject specific or useful phrases or sentence starters. If we focus on as a teacher language functions, we can teach how to describe, how to explain, or comparing or hypothesizing of the new topic. The next one is, of course, the designing activities, because we should focus on what kind of activities engage, draw students' attention. For example, if our subject matter is history or science, we should focus on the speaking, writing, and listening, reading activities in order to improve the students' communication. And next one is cognition. We should think the skills. For example, we can improve their analyzing, classifying, and problem-solving skills. And also, we should pay attention the activities, ideas. For example, it can be, let's say, group work or discussions in order to labeling diagrams or writing reports or summaries. So we can also add some quizzes or role plays. And also we can create posters and presentation. The next one is planning the lesson stage, right? It is not sacred. Every lesson starts with warm up or lead-in stage. So in this stage, we should activate the prior knowledge, right? In the above, I remembered you the lesson is about the geography, right? Our theme is a water cycle, right? We should check our students' knowledge in warm-up stage, right? The next one is presentation. In this stage, the teacher should explain new theme. The next one is guided practice. In this stage, teacher should use scaffolding. For example, they can use sentence frames, visuals in order to remind the new theme. The next one is independent stage, namely practice. In this stage, students do the individual group work using content and their language. The last one is evaluating, namely the assessment. So, teachers should check understanding and language use the students. So, we should use while planning our lesson, the assessment and feedback stage. So, we can use the formative assessment and summative assessment. For example, during the learning, we can utilize quizzes, classwork, group discussion. If we organize summative assessment at the end of the lesson, so we can take the project or tests or some presentation work from our students in order to evaluate their subject knowledge, language use, and also collaboration and problem-solving skills. Guys, so we organized our lesson right? So, of course, we should select appropriate materials and resource also. So, we should prepare visual aids, images, maps, diagrams, word banks, and also glossaries. As well as we should select worksheets with both content and language focus, videos or realia, digital tools such as Kahoot, Quizlet, and Padlet, guys. So, let's summary our lesson. So, in that case, our lesson planning divided into some stages such as latent, input, practice, production, and reflection. So according to these stages, so we should do some activities. For example, brainstorming, what students know about water. So these activities should organize it in latent part, right? So if we focus on the language, so we should use and explain the modal verbs. For example, can, might, and must. In input stage, so we can watch video, read some short texts, right? If we focus on our language, so we should learn or we should teach some key vocabulary words such as evaporation, condensation, let's say, right? In practice part, so our students can label some diagrams as a group work, let's say. So in this, if we focus on our language, so we can teach the present simple or sequence verb, let's say. In production part, students should explain the cycle, right, in groups, or so they can organize some speaking activities. So according to these, they should utilize some vocabulary words or the sequence verbs, let's say. In reflection part, let's say, teachers should check their knowledge. Thank you for your attention. See you the next lesson.